Welcome to Gen Z Journey. Today we have Damon with us. Damon is born in Malaysia in the year 2000. He studied digital media technology in Xiamen University, and currently he's working on creative production in a marketing agency. And right now he's designing a lifestyle where he can have flexible working hours while doing what he loves. So a fun fact about Damon is that I actually know Damon for at least 21 years. We knew each other since preschool, but still, I'll pass the mic to Damon. Damon, did I miss out on any interesting things about you?
No, no. Actually, you just tell me a lot of what I do in a daily basis. So I think I'll do like a pre another introduction for myself. So hello everyone, my name is Damon, and I'm currently working as a multimedia creative based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And what I'm specialized is creating visual assets for brands such as noticeably like hospitality services and also F&B brands. And yeah, I also do photos and videos as a job and also my hobby as well. Yeah, and that's basically it.
See, beautiful. So, very interesting. You studied digital media technology, which I think it's a kind of broad field, right? What was the plan back then?
Oh, the plan. Okay, okay, sure. All right. I will give you guys a bomb, which is actually photography and videography is not something that I wanted to pursue in the first place as well. It's like I'm having a lot of changes in terms of like what who I wanted to be when I was going out of society as well. So fun fact, initially I was not going to be a photographer slash videographer. I was initially wanted to go more into like the gaming development industry. It's kind of funny, it's because me and my friend, we used to love to play a video game called Debo or Insiders, which is by React, Taiwan gaming development company as Taiwan development company, and we are just really love this game in to the extent that we wanted to do gaming development in that inside. But the sad thing is when I was trying to get into programming, I tried C++, I tried Python. Unfortunately, it just didn't work for me as well. It just didn't work for me. I tried my best to like to get into my toe to dip my toes in deeply, but in the end, it just didn't work out, and that's why I decided to abandon the dream of being a game developer as well. So the reason why I transitioned into the creative industry is also partly influenced by part some of my friends in the course, and also and also other people from other classes as well. I think a very great example will be I would say is William Seng. So if you guys don't know who William Seng is,
Oh,
he's
him.
currently yeah yeah, that's him, that's him. He's actually one of my inspirations in terms of like getting into the creative industry. And fun fact, the way that I know William Seng is because uh we are used to be in the same class before. And then initially the first impressions of him is like he just hates the class because we are still studying about law lah, and then he's just not interested in it. And in
Wait, you studied about law
and that's
in the
basically,
in your classes?
I think it's called MPU or something like that. It's like a
Oh,
prerequisite
that
course
one.
that we
Okay,
need
so
to
the
take in
the
the
very
university.
Malaysian
Yeah.
focus course. I see, I see.
Yeah. Everybody hates it. I agree that everybody hates it, me included as well. I found it very boring. But yeah, that's how I know about him. And because he really did try his best to like to get better in photography and videography in general, because he wants to impress his girlfriend since his girlfriend is like a mastery in that field. This is what his thought. This is his true story lah. You can see his podcast. He also got talk about it before. And because because I am surrounded by such people in my campus, and then I started to regrow my my interest in terms of photography and videography. And after I remember it's my last semester, I started to grow my started to grow my craft. I tried to like ask some people out in a third, and then so they can let me to photograph to take some
Do you,
photos.
do you mind sharing
And
how did you approach those people? Because that is a very interesting thing. Definitely, recently I started doing more of that, because of my podcast. Just wondering, like you did it years before me. How did it felt like? How did you do it? Like back then, for me, it was a very foreign thing that I just never thought would be possible.
okay, okay. Yeah, sure, I can share a few details about that. I think it initially grew because of Xiaohongshu, which is like the Chinese version of Instagram. And there's like a period in which like a lot of photographers tend to ask for like models or like just normal people in general so that they can let them to like to photo to take photos like in terms of like the photographer can take photos of the model, and whereas the models can get like free photos so that they can use it for like different purposes as well, whether they want to promote themselves or they just want like a new profile picture. They can do anything about it in the picture, since like you can do any kind of anything with a picture as well. So this is how I start. Is like I started to post on Xiaohongshu, in which is like, oh hey, I'm trying to get into photography, and I will if it's possible, I would love to have some models so that I can shoot and I also could practice my craft. And surprisingly, a lot of people actually came into my post and then they asked inquiries about it. But of course it's like a lot of people is have they love the idea of taking photos by photographers, but I think when it comes to reality, actually people are also afraid because it's the internet. Like people will, because you still have to be careful, like whether maybe I'm a scammer that I'm trying to scam you or something like that. It kind of
I
happens.
see.
I mean, it's kind of true lah. So, but fortunately, I found like a few models that I can take photos with, and eventually, some of the photos models also became my friends. And so this is something that I found it like very interesting, especially as an introvert, because I don't usually like go out and just hang out with people. But it's something that I really found that it's very mind blowing as well.
I see. Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Yes, thank you for sharing about that. Like, but after that, like part of your journey, you started like doing approaching models. What happened after that?
I think because I think taking models is just like practicing portrait photography, am I right?
Mhm.
So I think this activity only proceeds like only a few months, and then because I'm going to graduate soon, I need to like get a job to get stable for myself in terms of financially. So I decided to so I decided to like take a few sessions, and then I'll just move forward into like how am I going to use all of my skills in in workforce lah. But unfortunately, I would say that portrait photography is actually not quite enough when it comes to like going into the workforce, because I found that in the workforce usually people want to do more like user generated content in general. Like portrait photography is just so much like a very niche field that maybe a few only or maybe like us that consumers that we want, maybe sometimes it's like okay okay, let's for example, it's like you're going to graduate, and then the first thing you'll come to mind is like you start to think about taking graduation photos, and then you will come up with a photographer, and that's where you can use your portrait photography skills in this situation.
I see.
But in the workforce, it's like completely very different. Like you need to do something that is more related to marketing as well. You also need to come up with like content that also helps the company to maybe to promote their product, or even like generate more sales if like your video is like very viral. So this is something that I need to transition myself to, and that's why there's like a period I try to do more like spec work. Like I'm trying to create more try to create more UGC content for
Mhm.
other people for free. And I also even created a spec commercial for a female for a female fashion brand. I think it's like local. And I
Can you
actually and
elaborate
the
on more what is a spec?
Oh, spec. Okay. So in the filmmaking world, spec commercial means that the commercial that you made is not commissioned by the brand itself. It's something that you need to
Oh.
create for yourself so that you can demonstrate your skills to the client and to show like what you can do by presenting a spec like a fake commercial lah. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so it's kind of like a voluntary work that like no one wanted you to do it, and then you just did it for either for the sake of your interest or like for portfolio sake or something like that, is it?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
see.
Yes. That's the point of
Okay.
the spec commercial.
Yeah, but sorry for interrupting. Continue on with the journey. Yeah, you were working on your spec contents.
Yeah, so I started to rebuild my portfolio in general. Instead of like only portrait photography, I started to generate more different variety types of content. And eventually there's one marketing agency. I reached out to one marketing
Wow.
agency in which specialize in like F&B, and then they also do like in-house content where they do Asian recipes in like a weekly basis.
Mhm.
And then they really saw my work like it's like really aligned to their brand, so that's why I got in. And fortunately I get my full time over there, and currently right now it's just like growing together with the team, and at the same time trying to build my skills in the long run as well. And also I also improve all of the technical aspects like uh the importance of having lighting in your videos, and also directing models, which is so super important because in the creativity world, you also need to deal a lot of people as well, and you also need to try to communicate them so that they don't feel awkward. There's a lot of things that I learned throughout the process, and this I think is those little moments that make me realize that I'm very fortunate to be in this field. It's such like a very long journey to me. Yeah.
Okay, that is amazing. Yeah, just wondering, what is your day to day? How does it looks like, working as in a creative production field?
Okay. So the I think in daily basis, I think normally when I went to office and then I straight up, it's like looking at what are the projects that I need to edit on. If it's like not a shoot day, then probably the whole day I'll be focusing on editing as well. And if there's like shoots, it's just like sometimes it's like shooting in our studio, or we go on to a client's location so that we can shoot the client all of the creative assets over there. And occasionally we also because I have like uh, a good working relationship with my project managers. So occasionally we also try to brainstorm some new ideas, something more fresh and fun to brands, so that we also can have fun in the process. And I think that's basically it when I'm working in there.
See, what's your favorite part of your work?
My favorite part, oh wow, that's like, oh, okay. I
Or is there
think
no
my
favorite
favorite
part? There's
part
like
will
only
be
only parts where you just hate.
I think every part is like a very every part has their own perks as well lah. So I think for
Mhm.
example, I think shooting wise, I think the biggest challenge for me is like how am I going to uh how am I going to carry on the shoot within like a very tight time frame, because you don't have because during the shooting day you don't have like all of the time in the world. Like you only have like a few hours or maybe even a few minutes to just to film one certain clip. And I think this is something that is like the the most interesting part and also the most intriguing part for me. And whereas for editing side is like trying to I think the biggest challenge is like to try to think of like new ways to tackle a new video. Like for example, you edited video A and then you edited like a certain kind of style to it. And when you're moving forward to video B, the the fun part is like how you are going to edit in kind of a similar way in which that you can present your style while also trying to make it a little bit different. And I
Wow,
think that's
that is
something
very
that
complex.
is yeah. So maybe you have like own style. Maybe it's like you have like your own color, you have like your own voice, but it's just like how you are going to show different things to people because people tend to get a bit bored when things are repetitive in general. But so this is why we need to try and find new ways to tackle things in a different way. So at the same
Mhm.
time, the audience won't get bored. We also won't get burnt out as well because repetitive work for me, it kind of is like one of the factors that gives me burnout as well, and I'm trying to avoid it as much as I can.
I see. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Very interesting perspective. I mean, I never worked in the media industry. I guess I I kind of am working in the media industry, having this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, you are actually doing creative stuff right now, like creating the podcast, even though it's not like rendered work, but it's also creative stuff. So I believe
Yeah,
that
but I
both
guess
of
it's
us, we
just
are all in the same boat as
yeah.
well.
It's just a huge difference from like you where you come from like a marketing agency where you look at different aspect and then I was just like, free flowing, like, oh, I just do what I want, which I believe is very interesting to hear from. Yeah. But how do you find, I think the biggest change for our not our generation but like people in our age group, the biggest change in lifestyle is like coming out from university, being unemployed, then being employed. How do you find that change in lifestyle?
I would say it's like very tremendous when it comes to uni life and also working life as well. So in uni life, it's like you don't need to like worry anything. All you need to focus is like how to get a grade that doesn't disappoint possibly you doesn't disappoint your parents if you're living in like an Asian household, or or you can just like whatever. I just wanted to spend all the time that I want, maybe trying to start like a side business or while also trying to maintain my studies. Like you have all the time in the world, and then you have like a lot of people that you can connect. See, if you are assume that you are living in university lah, because the university to me is like a little how I'm going to say this. I think university is like kind of like a small society in which that we can connect other people with in different areas of their interests as well. Whereas in work life, I think it's kind of difficult is because in work life if you're working like a 9 to 5, you are kind of binded into your office, and there's only like if you're working like in a small company, there's only like a few people that you can connect with. Whereas like in a big company, yes, of course, there's like a lot of people who are you can connect with, but not everybody has the responsibility to connect with you. Like if you want to like, the whole context is like you want to connect, you want to connect to people doesn't mean that other people will want to connect with you, because in the workforce, sometimes it's kind of harsh to see that there's like competition inside, because it's kind of true if you want to like get into the higher ups in the corporate field, but uh so but I think the only thing that work life is better is like you get your money paid. Whereas in like uni life, it's
I
just
see.
like you don't need to care anything, you just do your own stuff, you don't need to worry about money and anything, you just enjoy it yourself. I think that's
Hmm.
one yeah, I think that's one part of it that why I kind of miss uni life, even though my uni life is affected by COVID. I didn't
Oh, I
manage to
see.
enjoy my uni life in general because I suffer from COVID, which is kind of like a bit disappointing. But I mean, wherever happens, it happens lah.
I see. I totally understand what you mean. I guess I'm not sure would you agree, but for me, I do look at like the relationship between people in like university is more genuine, and as you get into society it becomes really intentional, and not to say that there is no genuine relationship, but it tends to be a lot lesser, or like those intentional relationship can slowly build into genuine ones, but it takes time. It's not that genuine anymore, which does make it scary and all that. Yeah, definitely the transition
And
and
it's
all
kind
that.
of sad and it's like and I agree that it's kind of sad in general because we actually we I think most of the people actually agree that we all want to pursue genuine connections, but I think when you are in the workforce, uh
Mm.
when you want to connect to a people, there's some that value needs to be exchanged as well. Like for example, if you so for example, if you are work for example me, because I'm like
Mm.
a creative, because I'm a creative, right? And then the client is maybe probably, let's say it's like a fashion brand. And then the value that I exchange with the fashion brand is like, I give all of my creativity in terms of like how can I make your photos look better so that you can market in social media or in website in general. And the fashion brand can the value that they can give me is probably in terms of like money, which is the most general part, or even sponsors like giving free stuff. I think that's basically how it works out in the workforce. There's some sort of value that needs to be exchanged as well. I think in terms
I
of
just
like friends also has I think it sounds kind of harsh, I agree, but I think in terms of like friendship, there's actually value needs to be exchanged as well. I think, but it's more on the emotional side instead of like the more reality based things like money and money, fame, reputation, everything, which is more better lah. If you think about
Mm.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. That's actually very true. Like no, like I think in psychology they have this thing called economic theory. So like basically the reason why we
Mm,
make connection is because based on still very boring economic reasons, like not in terms of like money, but basically you want to make sure that there's a value exchange. It's like more worth it for you. But I guess when it comes to out to society, you look at so many tangible stuff that you just like you kind of use it feels terrible because you're able to put a kind of like a price tag onto each of the relationship, whereas in university life it's less so. It's really like yeah, I do need to offer some emotional value, but I don't know, I guess that is more human than like oh, okay, I'm connecting to you because I know that I'm gonna make business with you, and I don't know, potentially you have a price tag of like $10,000 on you, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think in uni life you probably won't think of this as well. Like you just want to if you want to do something, you just do it as well. You won't think too much of these kind of things. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's something that I
Yes.
agree about it.
Amazing. So, like, are you satisfied with your lifestyle now? Like, heading, like, working right now?
Currently, I'm actually quite satisfied with with my lifestyle right now, but it's not like my end goal. It's more of like going more into my comfort zone because in the past I'm not used to like getting into a 9 to 5 as I'm more of like a freelance guy.
Hmm?
But as I deep dive into the 9 to 5, and I found out that I'm going into another comfort zone in which I don't need to I don't need to go overtime in my work, and then I have like a great boss and I have like a great team to work with, and I also manage, and then the workload is like not very, it's like not too heavy, but it's something that I can manage it, and I can find a sense of purpose when I'm doing it. But I think but although it sounds fun, but I think it also means that I'm going more into a comfort zone. I think it's more of like the 9 to 5 comfort zone lah, where you just like get used to the lifestyle that you had. And I think at some point, maybe that's gonna change, but I think time will tell in the future. Yeah.
I see. Okay. You mentioned that you did freelance previously. Like, how long were you on freelancing?
How long that I'm on freelancing? I'm on freelancing when I was like in the last semester of my
Oh, wow.
university days. like my first freelance gig came from with my classmates in which I have like two friends in which they both together to start like an agency, like both like a marketing agency lah, but basically. And then initially they do video production to clients, mostly just creating like ads for Facebook. And they wanted someone to edit their videos, so they found me. They find me because they know that I want to deep dive more into like the creativity field. So that's how I get my first freelance gig. But uh, as, as time progresses, most of my freelance gigs are more often get from connections as well. Maybe it's from like someone that I know in the creativity world, or it's someone that maybe I connected like long past ago, and then suddenly they found me that I was doing this kind of work, and that's how I get my freelance gig as well lah. I would say it's kind of unstable because it's like it's not like a very guaranteed thing because there are some periods in which you'll get a lot of freelance jobs. Like for example, if you are in the wedding industry, there are like a few periods in which uh people will proclaim it as like the lucky days, and then during the lucky days, then you will have like a lot of job. But in terms of like unlucky days, then you'll find out that the periods are quite cold, and then you're hardly to get jobs. And that is the moment that you need to find other types of income in order to get your get your finances in check. Yeah.
I see. I totally get what you mean. Like it's kind of like, I guess it's not exactly looking at the weather, but somehow it kind of sounds like that. Like when the weather is good,
Mm.
you get to have so many jobs. But the sad thing is, even though there's so many jobs, it's not like I can duplicate myself and then have went out into 10 different clients over a good day, and then like on bad days, I still have to find ways to feed myself and all that. So I totally
Yeah.
understand that struggle. Yeah, but it's amazing. Like, thank you for
And
sharing
even
about your freelance journey. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
yeah, I think one more thing that I want to add on is like even though that you have like good days, like you have like a lot of gigs, but the one of the problem is like we all have like 24 hours a day. And there's like a certain limit in terms of like how much that you can do in terms of work. So sometimes it's like when you have like a lot of work, leverage you also need to try to learn to like leverage other work to people. And then maybe you can try if you like you want certain income, maybe you can try to get creative in terms of like for example getting like a commission or something like that. But yeah, I think freelancing is like a really hard process to get into because there's like a lot of aspects that we all need to like to take into consideration in terms of like how in terms of like sales, marketing, social media, and also how to manage business. A lot of things. You basically freelancing is like you becoming an octopus where you have to juggling everything at the same time.
I
This
see.
also
Okay.
mentioned by this ideology is also inspired by Marcus Brownlee, and I find it like
Oh,
very true. Yeah.
I see. Okay. I like that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, you mentioned your whole freelance journey, especially the final part. It really shows that it is not easy juggling it. And then previously you mentioned that you tend to get burnout when you do repetitive work. So I believe there's some burnout moments. Can you share that?
Okay. Can I think one of the burnout moments that started is like when I'm in my full time. I think it's my full time job. So
Mm.
as I said previous earlier, that my company actually do like in-house content in which they have to produce like Asian recipes, and I'm also responsible in terms of like editing these videos as well. So there's like a moment in which it's like I found out that like I feel like the style of video is like a bit boring, and then it gets like the way that I tackle the video is like it's like basically the same, and it reached to a point in which it's like I'm feel very tired. Like I don't wish to like edit the video, and then suddenly my imposter syndrome just kick in like very fast. But this burnout actually didn't last long because I managed to get myself to take breaks. So, for example, it can be so simple. It's like taking a walk outside, or maybe consume some other content in the internet. But also try not to like consume too much. Otherwise, you get. For me, it's like I will get quite overwhelmed. Like there are just like so many types of editing styles in YouTube, and it's impossible for a person to you make use of all of the ideas just to make one video. So it's important to learn to take breaks and also try to find out new ways. Like maybe maybe there's like like for example there's like a motion graphic that looks kind of interesting. Maybe you can try to put it in a video, and also do lots of experimenting. And these experiments, even though they might cost a little bit of time, but it will make the editing journey to be more interesting. And then at the same time, you'll find out that there are other ways to tackle one project, and you won't feel burnout, and then you will eventually get what you really like doing.
Wow, that is very a very nice process that you have just shown. I really love what you've told about, what got you burned out and then how you get out of it and then like how to balance how to get out of it as well. Yeah. Interesting. Like were there any moments during like your freelance that you were burnt out or it was actually a perfectly fun moment for you?
I think in terms of like freelance, I rarely get burnout is because
That is amazing.
the freelance gigs because the freelance because I would say it's like during a full-time job because because you're editing editorial content, like
Mhm.
all of the style like color and also the composition and all of the technical aspects, they are all basically more similar. But because when I was freelancing, I get like different types of gigs. Like sometimes I shoot social media contents, sometimes I shoot weddings, sometimes I shoot like event coverage. There's like different types of videos that I need to edit on. And I think it's because of the varietyness of these videos that makes me barely to have any burnout at all, because every video I need to make sure that I have to tackle it in a different way. So it will also, and also to make sure that this certain kind of video style will satisfy the client as well.
See, okay, that is cool. Would you say that you manage your mental health quite well?
I would say I did a pretty good job in terms of like managing my mental health, especially this year compared to like last year. I did so much better in terms of like mental health.
I see. Like, can you share more? Like, what makes this year so different, and why do you think that what's the achievement that you've done this year that made your mental health exceptionally well?
I think it's more of like a lot of self-reflection and also trying to experiment new things, like and also get to know more, also try to get to know more people. But at the same time, I also try to get a lot of like me time, because as I say, I'm actually an introvert. Me time is so important to me, and most of the time I just spend on myself, and and also try a few like self-development techniques. Like in the internet, they also encourage people to meditate or even journaling, something like that. I did try a few, and some of the habits they do stick, and when they stick, it actually also shows that it actually helps me in terms of like how am I feeling for the past few days, and I'm able to see like how whether that I'm still in control or not. I don't know
I
whether it's like
see.
the correct term to say it, but yeah, that's how it works for me lah. And one
Okay.
important thing is this year I tried not to overthink too much, because uh if I because I think it's more of like, from my past experience, I try to be more idealistic on my plans. It's like I'm going to be X, I'm going to be Y. But the thing is, it actually becomes ABC. So
Hmm.
this
Oh yeah.
I think this result also allows me to not to overthink too much, which actually helps my life a lot more easier. Occasionally, I will still think it sometimes, but compared to the previous year, I would say it's gotten better, and I'm confident about it as well.
I see. Oh my God, I really love what you shared. Like, I personally can really resonate with it a lot. But I guess I did it in a different way. But I really love how you are able to be so introspective, and then like you kind of work things out on your own. So for me, actually, I remember like there are so many points where you shared just now that totally resonated with me, and then I was like, yeah, all this actually happened to me, but I actually forgot some of the earlier ones. But one of a few of those that I do remember is like overthinking. Yeah, that definitely really happens to me. Like that point where you say that you have a very specific goal where you want it to be X, and then sometimes things doesn't work out, it becomes ABC. Yes, that thing as well. Like this year, I think the biggest change I did was that I guess I did journaling for a long time, but this year I started being very serious about it, and then I think okay, I'm not sure exactly when, but I've been doing it every day since probably May or something, and then I started therapy. Actually, started going for therapy, and then for me, many of the methods that you use actually came from my therapist, which helped me a lot. And of course, I for some reason, not sure. Okay, there is a specific point in time, but I guess right now it just doesn't come to my head. I also started to realize that I can be a lot more confident myself in terms of like what you said. Like even though sometimes we want our goal to be X, but then it doesn't turn out to be X, it turns out to be ABC. But usually when I look back, like those ABC are still amazing. It's not X definitely, but it's still good ABC. Like it's still a good outcome, which I learned to appreciate it. I learned to be really thankful, grateful of myself, and all that. Yeah. But just now you mentioned meditation. I'm very interested into that. I think I tried to get into that for a short bit of time. I'm just wondering, yeah, what kind of meditation you do, like, and how do you find it?
I think for me, because the meditation that what I said is actually a part of the example as well, lah. But
Mhm.
meditation is, I believe I started, I think it's around like 11 or 12 years old. Like
Wow.
there's like an event. There's like an
Okay.
event in which that it teaches us how to like meditate. But I think after that event, I don't think that meditation is actually good for me, but I found out that journaling actually works for me as well. Yeah. So I actually didn't do meditate at all. It just didn't work out for me. For the most that I did is journaling. But one thing that I appreciate that you did for journaling is you do it like in a daily basis, in which
Mm,
for me I actually do like in a more weekly basis. Currently, it's
I see.
already become to be a habit as well. So it's just like I try to journal like every Sunday. I try to summarize like what happened like this week, and then I'll just journal it down. But
I
I
see.
think journaling daily will be a better advantage is because like when you are experiencing moments of light in one day, it will be the best to jot it that down at the
Mm,
current day as well, which is
mm,
something that I wouldn't say I'm trying, but for now I'm still very comfortable in like journaling weekly. But if there's something that I found it like, okay, maybe daily will make a change or something like that, then maybe I will do it as well. But I try not to think too much about it as well. Okay, I think before we move on to the topic, I also heard that you mentioned therapy as well. Because therapy
yeah.
is also something that I'm actually wanted to go into. Because if you think about the past few years, I think therapy is not as mentioned as by the public. Nowadays, I think it's because of COVID, mental health started to become like a main topic to everyone. And then a lot of people will have like this idea of going into therapy as well. So I wanted to ask is like, how does it feel like to meet a therapist to talk all of the, like your all of your frustrations and problems and something like that? Because uh in my idea it's like I feel like it's a little bit daunting to talk to a random person about your insecurities in life and also allow one person to explore your previous traumas in terms of like why what is this trauma is and how does it makes you become the person that you are right now. So this is something that I wanted to ask you about.
That is an amazing question. Yeah, I would be happy to share. Yeah, I totally agree. But before I jump straight into sharing, like I totally agree with you. Like I think therapy just became more normal recently. But yeah, it's still I think it's still a hard topic to talk about recently actually, because like genuinely I started therapy and then I really found it really helpful. I was just speaking to one person, and then I felt like that person is slightly troubled, and then therapy could be a good thing. And then I suggested therapy, and then it turned out that I offended her. I was like, oh shit. So it is
Oh
still
my
a tough topic.
god.
Yeah, but I'm really happy that you asked this question. It means that you're interested in it, and then definitely I'll be happy to share my own experience. I think the I it actually took me a long time to get into therapy. I thought of it for a long time. In fact, last year, was it last year? Yeah, I think end of last year. Or is it end of last year?
Mm.
Yeah, I think around end of last year, September. So like in the UK we have National Health Service, which is like government health service, which is like free and all that. I think that was the first time I went for therapy, but I went for the free one. And then the free one, it took a long time. I waited for a long time, and then it was just a short session. It's kind of like solve a tiny problem, and then the problem is solved, and then they'll just discharge you, and then you're back into the wild, and then living on your own. But actually, that is the ultimate goal of therapy. Therapy is never to be like a medicine where you have to consume throughout your life. It's supposed to let you to be able to survive with the tools that they provide you yourself with instead of together with the therapist. So that
Mm.
is the thing. But I guess having a like paying for therapy where you can go to constantly, not just when you are deeply troubled, is definitely very helpful. But I just never wanted to do that because first thing, the money, and then second thing, I guess there's just that stigma. You're thinking that, am I really that problematic that I need to go to therapy? It's like I guess it maybe it's
Oh
an
my
ego thing or
god.
something. So it felt that thing. So yeah, I always thought of going, but never went. I actually have to thank this podcast that I'm doing. I got to meet so many people, and then I talked to so many people, and then few of them they went to therapy, and then it helped them so much, and then they are living good life, doing great things right now, which really prompted me. I was like, I should probably go to therapy. Even from
Yeah.
that point onwards, till the time where I click the button, pay for my first therapy session, that took 1 full month. That took 1 full month. But I'm glad I did that. And then the first therapy was transformative, and until now, I just went for my third one last week. It was really amazing, and it has changed my life in many ways. But yeah, I guess I would like to now. I see therapy kind of like a like imagine you're in a marketing agency. You can't do everything yourself. You need to have like a social media strategist. You need to have a video editor, photographer, and all this kind of stuff. The thing is like you would try to outsource things because as the boss, you can't do these things well enough, right? So like of course I'm gonna hire someone to do this better than me, and then I will just focus on what I do best. I guess it's one thing for us humans as well. We have things that we want to do, like you are really good at creative work, photography, videography, video editing, and all that. So we want to make sure that we spend most of our time in that. But sometimes our unhealthy mindset will come to haunt us a bit, affect us. And I find that therapist is kind of like outsourcing. We're kind of outsourcing this mental health thing to them. So when we have any problems, instead of overthinking ourselves and then still not helping it, we'll just like hey, therapist, I'm kind of facing this problem. Can you help me figure it out? So definitely you need to put in more work, but I get you need to put in work as well, but it's kind of like now you get guidance. Yeah, you get a guidance to do this better. Like you are the boss of a marketing agency. Now you have a social media strategist. They can tell you, okay, why we are doing this and why would this help our company. So it's like kind of like someone like that that really help out. So that is how I view therapy. But going into like the deep parts, sharing stuff, dealing with trauma and all this.
Eh,
I in fact I never thought that I have trauma until I actually went to therapy, and then I was like, so okay, I did have childhood trauma. But about sharing, I guess this will I'm so sorry, this is like diving so deep. Like, oh my god, like this originally my podcast, now it became your podcast. Now I'm like answering questions for you. But
but I
yeah,
think it's something that is worth talking about, lah.
yes, it is. It is. It's a very, very good question. I love that you asked it. Um,
Mm,
I think this year, I believe you kind of somehow know as well that many things have happened to me. It has been a
yeah.
really, I would definitely, in one aspect, you can say that it's a terrible year for me, but I like to see it now. I guess now I'm more positive. I'm able to see it as a really growth journey for me. I've learned so much. So, um, I don't really share much. And then over this past year, I have this really transformative friend. I guess I can mention him here. I'll just say he's Yang. Yeah, if he's listening to this episode, thank you, Yang. Yeah, he recently passed his bar exam as well. If someone is, I'm not sure if he's trying to be a lawyer. If someone is trying to find a lawyer, ping me. I can connect you to him. Something. It's not okay. It's not. He's he's just fresh out of bar. I guess he's not really a lawyer. I don't know how it works, but yeah, this transformative friend. I guess he really made me realize the value of sharing. He is the first friend that he told me that um it's okay to share more things, like when you not just good things, bad things as well, share with me and all that. So I guess because of how my childhood upbringing and all that, sharing became a very sensitive thing. So I'm not so open with sharing. I'm very worried of getting judged. And because of him, he made me learn that, yeah, it is okay to share. And so I started doing it, especially also one thing prompted me to start sharing is because of my mom's passing, realizing that now it's just me, my dad, and my sister. We are, it's very important for us to be, to know how well each other are. Like, I can be not okay, but it's better that I tell my sister and my dad that I am not okay, then they know that I'm not okay instead of me hiding it and then they keep worrying that I'm not okay. At least now that I tell it, they worry, but they know, okay, this is the extent that I am not okay, and then they can really help it instead of like questioning and all this. So, like, I think this two, Yang, and then this moment where my mom passed away made me realize, yes, sharing is very important, and then we need to make sure that there's this transparency barrier between me and my family, and then me and my some of my close friends, which I can trust as well. So yeah, I started sharing that there's one thing because I got scammed. One of my podcast episode, I said I got scammed. It was a terrible day because it was Sunday. Like what you do summarization and all that. I do weekly review and then I do my day review, and then I was like getting ready to go to sleep, and then I just got scammed. It's like I was like so grateful of my life, and
Oh,
then I got scammed. I was like, oh shit, it sucks so much. I managed to get a good sleep, but then the next day in the morning I still get so much trouble. So I shared to my few closest friends, even my family as well. I just told them, I got scammed, but it's okay. I just mainly want to share it to you because you're my close friend. But now I feel a lot better just by sharing to you. And don't worry about me. It's not a significant sum of money. I'm still well and all that. Yeah. And then yeah, even though when even though I shared with them and then tell them, don't need to worry about me. They will still be very nice and comforting towards me, which is, I guess that is the best part about good friends and all that. Like when you share, they'll be really helpful. So I guess this is the whole learning journey where I realized sharing is okay. And then I think on this podcast I overshared a lot of stuff as well. So it's kind of like a journey. So okay, now back onto therapy. Because like about sharing to the therapist. I'm happy that when I want to get into therapy, definitely I ask some of my podcast guests as well, where they went to therapy. I get some information from them, and then I do happen to know a friend that kind of work in the therapy industry, and then so I asked her for like recommendations, where should I go to, and so I went to what she suggested. Definitely there's a list of people. It was quite a tough process also. Oh, you have to pick your therapist and all that. I think for me, I guess I'm quite lucky because I just chose the therapist, and then I I yeah, I'm sticking with her, and then she has been um I'm very comfortable with it. I guess to some people, the first part might be a bit challenging. You might have to, go through a few therapies to see who you are comfortable with. But this therapy is I feel really comfortable with her. And then I guess definitely because I started to know how to share, so I was just quite open with sharing to her. She definitely, I think, I thank her for making a very safe environment for me to feel that, it's okay to share. But also at the same time, yeah, at the same time, I guess I have start to open up more to share, and then I just share more. But mainly, I think therapists, like honestly, I think my dad is gonna hear this again. My dad like hear this so many times. I mentioned it so many times. So like every time I actually wish that my dad would go to therapy, but I wouldn't force him to go to. I wouldn't even be like, today's my birthday, and then my birthday wish this year is that you go to therapy. I wouldn't do that because I think therapy is the most important thing in therapy is that the person who needs therapy wants to go to therapy. That's where they can get the most help. So like I think me wanting to go to therapy, finding the right therapist, and then open up to sharing. So that kind of allowed me to just share. Yeah, even I had like a list of questions. I guess this one I learned from one of the podcast guests as well. So I have a list of questions, and then I just go to a therapist. I was like, okay, these are kind of the things I kind of feel about myself, and I kind of want to work on them, and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, definitely. Like, I would take back to like the most recent moment, like the most recent therapy session. We talk about something that is like sometimes you will still really question yourself. You're like, oh, should I really share this? It's kind of like it's very embarrassing, honestly. Like I was talking about my dating experiences with my therapist, and then it is truly embarrassing. Like after I shared it, I was like just I was like laughing over that, and then she was like wondering like oh what made you laugh and all that, and I was just saying that no, I'm like I just feel very embarrassed about it, but definitely I am happy that I shared because it's a safe environment and I trust you, and there's no better place to share it than with a therapist, for me. Yeah. In terms of childhood trauma, yeah, I totally get what you mean. Like what you have been through and all that, it is not easy to go through them sometimes. For me,
Mm,
for me, I'm not sure does this apply to everyone, but I guess for me, I can view them straight in the face easier, so I can kind of talk about it. But I can see that some people will be a bit hard. I guess just slowly take time. Like usually, I believe therapists would understand that as well, and then they would give you time. Like every time when I'm sharing something very sensitive, we talk about my mom's passing and all that. She will always tell me, if you're not comfortable, it's okay. We can choose not to dive deep into this very sensitive topic and all that. So, um, it takes time, and even just not just like share when you're comfortable. Even when you're sharing, you can slowly articulate your words and all that. That is totally fine. I think therapists, they are just generally well trained and all that, so they kind of give you that good environment. They would listen really well and all that. So yeah, I guess generally that's my
Mm,
experience with therapy, and I found it really helpful. And I think it's definitely a thing that I will keep it with me. Like I will keep going for therapy for hopefully years to come, and hopefully it will kind of help with my life and all that. Yeah, yeah.
I see, I see. That's actually really fascinating from hearing from your
Mm,
experience. And some of
mm,
those self-doubt moments is something that I really can relate on.
mm,
But hearing from your story about going to therapy, it kind of like
mm,
encourages me to like trying to take the first step as well. But yeah,
yeah.
thanks for
Mm,
sharing about it. Now I can
mm.
get like a better context about it. Yeah. Right.
Yes, no problem. I am happy that you're interested in it, and I'm happy that I was able to share it. So, yeah, amazing. But yes, I know that you are one of your goals right now is that you're currently working towards a lifestyle where you have flexible hours and doing what you love. How are you? How's your progress working onto that?
I think it's more on like trying to build like a runway for myself. Like before, I think I call this as like the spaceship theory lah. Like for example, your aim is like you're going to space, but the thing is you need to build a spaceship, and the spaceship
Mm,
is a lot of resources. So I think some of the things that I'm currently preparing for is like trying to get like clients that I actually wanted to work with. Like for freelancing, actually, it's more because as I previously mentioned, it's like more of like a very unstable job. Sometimes I get, sometimes I get jobs, sometimes I don't. But in order to achieve the target of like getting flexible working hours, I think it is more important to get a few clients in which that I wanted to work a lot in the long run as well. And I also been trying to dive deep more into other aspect areas of my life, like this, but like although I agree that I am a creative and what I should be focusing on is to master my craft. But however, in order to get into the lifestyle, I realized that there are a lot of things that I needed to discover on. So I think most importantly is like my health and also trying to manage more of my finance. Like if you want to have this kind of lifestyle, you need to build like emergency fundings, like all the things like emergency fundings and also 6 months of like run runway savings so that you can sustain in terms of like just in case that if your plan doesn't work out, you can still bounce back and get another full-time job and then you can just restart again. But I think right now it's more like focusing on trying to get consistent client work and also trying to like manage my finance well and also trying to read more books. I think recently reading more books really changed my life as well. And it also allows me to realize that my dream is actually maybe it's not like far from maybe okay maybe it's like far from ahead, but it's like sometimes it doesn't need to be like to think it like in a negative way. It's like, oh, I'll never reach that, but it's trying to like to embrace like when you're reading a topic, trying to embrace the topics of the books inside and also trying to learn more im- and implement maybe like some of them in real life. And it's okay to make the if you make the same mistakes, it's okay, but the real thing is you try to improve 1% better at a time every day.
I see.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Okay, I love that. I love that. I believe, yeah, I believe soon you'll be on that path, and then I'll be able to see you living. I mean, like you are actually happy in your lifestyle right now, which is amazing. It's just that there's another more desired, like the next level, like the boss that you want to fight. But I believe you definitely
Yes.
get there one day, and I hope to see you there. Yeah, but very interesting lifestyle that you want to get to. What about like what do you think like how did your friends help you along the way where like to get to where you are today, and then like how do you find them? I'm not sure if you have shared this idea to them, like the desired lifestyle that you want to get to. How how do they find it and all that?
Well, actually, in terms of like getting, whenever I was thinking about reaching to a goal, usually in the
Hmm.
past, I would feel like I would need to talk people to talk about my idea of getting into that dream. But the opposite, but unfortunately, I would say is like whenever I try to talk a dream to somebody, in the end, I actually didn't make it. So it's something that I kind of realized in the past is like whenever I think of something, I wanted to do it, and then I try to express this idea to other people, and then other people will be like, "Wow, you're so ambitious! Like you know what you're going to get for." But the truth thing is, uh, I found out that I just love the idea of getting it, but not executing in the process as well. And for me, about this topic that you mentioned, I think it would be the best is like you try to do some of the things yourself. Like for example, currently I have like a target in order to achieve for like a certain date. And I think it will be the best for me to try to execute it first. The idea cannot, I think the idea is like, I think it will be best if you have like encountered some problems, and then that's when you will try to reach out to your friends, and then your friends will try to give you like a better idea on how to tackle it, instead of like you tell your whole idea, your big picture idea to other people. And potentially some people might still might realize it earlier, and then they might execute it sooner than you. And
I
when this
see.
happens, it's sort of like it sort of creates like a very complex feeling to you, and it's not great for you as well. So I would think it's like uh focus on yourself. If there's any problem, try to reach out more people and seek help, and at the same time try to improve gradually. And maybe your goal is going to be just one corner away.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Thank you. Yeah. You mentioned that I think throughout I think during your freelance journey, that's where you met a few interesting friends where now they're still your friends and all that. What about now? Do you find it easy making friends? Do you have new and interesting friends like once you got
Ah,
into the work life and all that?
oh my gosh. I think as from your previous podcast, I
Hmm?
think this topic also mentioned from your previous podcast as well, like making
Yeah.
friends in adulthood. I think compared to uni life, it's I agree that it's increasingly more difficult to make friends in adulthood rather than in uni life. But
Hmm.
I think the I think the difficulty also varies on like whether you wanted to like whether friendship is something that is very important to you. Like like for example, maybe you are a person that you values getting like a lot of friends, like doing like a lot of activities. And when you reach adulthood, it's actually very hard to do so, is because people were just focusing on their lives, and then they some of them may actually care about you, but the thing is that actually sometimes they have to focus on their stuff. Like maybe they have their own personal issues, family issues, or work. They have something to focus on, and they probably have no time for you. And in order to achieve something like that, if you are a kind of person that you value like getting a lot of friends, I think it will be the best is like to take initiative, like to join like a few groups. Like for example, if you are like, I think the most easiest thing to tackle this is like try to get into like a sport, like badminton, or even like tennis, or even like in Malaysia recently, like pickleball is like very famous nowadays. And like there are so many types of groups that they all do this kind of activity. And if you're a person who wants to make more friends, I think it would be the best that you join one group, and then you just try out different types of groups. And but at the same time, you get to enjoy what you like doing. And if the person you manage to like you found some common ground together, then that's how you can make friends. But I think I think the idea of making friends in adulthood and maintaining friendships in adulthood, I think they are both different topics as well. So I think making friends might not be the hardest part, I think harder part, but the harder part is how to maintain it. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Yes, now that you mention it, yes, actually, I think maintaining is tougher, like, or not tougher. It's like very tough, probably.
I think it's
Yeah.
tougher. Like there's no competition when it comes to making friends and also maintaining friendships because I think maintaining friendships comes with a lot of work compared to like making friends. Because making friends, maybe a few actions you can get what you want, but maintaining is like you're running a marathon. It's just no, it just like it's like a never ending process unless when something happens like maybe you are on different wavelengths in your life and that's something that needs to be break apart. Unfortunately, for some case, I believe that this case also will occur in some people when they reach a certain point of their life as well.
Like I what you said just now is very relatable. I mean, like it's very relatable to me, especially because I just moved down to London. Honestly, right now it's still less than 2 months ago, but and like I took many risks in my life, and comparing to all those risks, moving down to London unemployed is not as big. But for some reason, it holds there's a very big fear in me before I did that, and yeah, and then it's actually not me that realized this. It's funny. I went on a date
Mm.
and then I was like chatting to the girl, and then the girl made me realize this. I was like, oh yeah. I start thinking about it, and I realized that it's actually because I think leaving my bunch of friends back in Nottingham, that is the scariest part because I have been such a like like in fact I so like after I ended my previous relationship, I went on dating apps and then I started this podcast, and then because this podcast got so much work that I was like, oh my god, dating app is so tiring that I stopped using it. And and then but when I moved down to London, it's pretty much the same thing. I was still working on my podcast, but then just because I did not have that bunch of friends anymore, so I have less things to do, and then I realized that, it's a bit boring now. That's when I started using dating apps again. So I guess that kind of shows how important those friends are. But yeah, like moving down to London, it's definitely very scary. But I realized, like what you said, like sports and all this, like those are amazing things to make friends. In I For me, okay, I haven't made friends in sports group, but I did make friends in board games. I love board games, so I made friends in that. And it's very
Mm.
funny. I went to different networking events. Most of them I don't really make friends. I make connections, I would say. But there is this particular event, the Notion events, the Notion community event, where I actually made friends, which is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I totally agree. I think joining events and all these are amazing ways to make friends. Yeah.
I think before we move on, I think because you've just mentioned dating apps, right? I think it will be
Mm.
like it will be quite amazing to talk about that because you just previously said that making friends through events, something like that, is like it's actually more natural. I think compared to like dating apps, I think like getting into events and also like more event type of activity, it will be more easier and also more natural in terms of like getting into friends. But I don't know. But for me, dating app is something is like I have some biases. I have some negative biases in terms of like dating app as well because personally I actually do use a bunch, but
Mm.
turns out that I actually really hate using it then. And I found out that the experience is just not great. And that's why I still prefer on like the event and also the networking route as well. But how about for
Mm.
you? Do you think events will be better for you in terms of like networking people or using like dating apps? But I think dating apps is different because I think the purpose is also different as well. Yeah.
Yes. Good question. Good question. Before I answer that, just wondering, are you in a relationship right now?
No, I'm still single.
Okay, okay. So, okay, we got that sorted. So, okay, now I'll jump into that. Very good question. Very good question. Yeah. So, I was using dating app when I was in Nottingham, and then used it when I'm in London as well. For context, Nottingham is kind of like Ipoh, like in Malaysia, like you kind of imagine Ipoh, and then that's kind of
Mm.
like how Nottingham is, or probably Nottingham is even smaller. Actually, I feel like it could be Nottingham is smaller than Ipoh, and then but London is not exactly like Kuala Lumpur. It's a lot bigger than Kuala Lumpur. I think even Singapore can't really compare it. So I think London, but the closest will be like Singapore. I'll say like closest would be like Singapore as comparison. So initially, when I use dating apps, definitely I agree with you. I think in this case, it is a bit. It's not apples to apples comparison because dating app like the purpose, the intention is slightly different from networking events. But I guess in my case, I actually have some. I have some experience which is so it can be quite relatable. Yeah, because originally I was going using dating apps in Nottingham. It it did not really work out well. So I was thinking like, for me, probably like I still want to go through events and all this where I can find more like-minded people, and then maybe slowly get to know them, and then develop to the stage where I want to be in a relationship with that person. That was initially my thought. Yeah, yeah. But fun fact, actually, a lot of people on dating apps, some of them they try to use that to make friends as well. Yeah. But okay, back to this thing. I guess for me, it's more biased towards like with the dating purpose. Yeah. But when I came to London, I joined both. I joined both networking events, like all these social events, and then I was on dating apps as well. So, definitely, if you talk about in terms of meeting people, networking events, social events are good for that. Because you kind of meet through mutual interests. There are mutual interest focused apps as well. Kind of like one app I know is Meetup. Those kind of bonds people or over similar interests. That will be really a good app as well. But definitely dating apps is very intentional. Everyone there is they have their intentions stated clear. Either they're looking for a casual relationship, short-term relationship, long-term relationship, or life partner even. So it is very intentional. I honestly like after I kind of worked like used it in Nottingham, I kind of lost a bit of faith in dating apps. But coming down to London, it totally changed my perspective. It changed my perspective. And I kind of thought a lot about it recently, and then I realized that it is actually a very it's a very maths thing. It's a very maths thing, and I guess it depends on the location as well, because it depends on the population size. London has a huge population size. There's so many people in London. So when you like definitely like let's give an example. Let's say only 10% of the population of an area will be using dating apps. In in Nottingham, the population is so tiny that there's definitely a lot less matches. Because like let's say your chances of get finding the right match is 0.1%. And then if you just have like 10,000 people in that are using dating app in like Nottingham, you will get like only 10 people, if I'm right. I hope I'm not wrong. Yeah. But in London,
Mm.
let's say now it's like previously it's like 10,000, right? Yeah, right now it's like a million, and that numbers just suddenly becomes yeah, that number suddenly become 1,000. Yeah, now you have like 1,000 like-minded individuals which might work with your filters and all that kind of stuff. So definitely there are a lot more people that you can meet and all that. So yeah, it can be a lot more interesting. But what I realize is different about the location as well is that um if let's say we use a more Malaysian context, definitely if you are looking for a professional compared to like how do yeah, if you're looking for a professional, if you're looking to date a professional, it makes more sense for you to use dating apps in Kuala Lumpur instead of Ipoh, because most professionals are working in Kuala Lumpur. There are definitely a lot more professionals in Kuala Lumpur. It's the same for UK as well. In Nottingham, there's not much opportunities. There's mostly students and just I don't know normal people, people that seek for opportunities. Okay, not just people that seek for opportunity. Basically, in London, it's so huge that there are different kind of people. We have like four of the best unis in the world. They have like financial centers. We have startups. We have like all kinds of job centered over here. So you can find professionals. You can find finance guys. Yeah. You can find student graduates,
Mm,
PhDs, researchers, startup founders, and all this. So it just it kind of depends on the location. Like dating apps kind of derive their people from your local your where you're at as well. So that's why even like I think it's the same thing for networking event. Even if I join a networking event in Nottingham, it wouldn't be as interesting. But coming down to London because of the place with so much more people, with so many diverse people, and it just makes more sense. But in terms of dating, it just makes it better because in London with all these people with more like-minded people with similar interests, and then everyone is having the intention of I am here to find a relationship, so it just generally makes it uh a better choice, I guess. Yeah, I guess
I
I
think
hope
it
that
will be.
answers your
I
question.
think consider as a better platform. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get the context.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah. But right now, are you actively looking for a relationship?
Well, not exactly actually, because
Mm,
I there are like other things that I need. There are like other things that I am focusing right now. But
mm,
I would say that recently I have been I would say I was cutting off I think I would say I cutting off a friendship previous like just like last week. Yeah, I cut off like a friendship. But the main context is like this. So basically uh like the partner is actually the partner is like a girl in which like I met in an event, and then we at the beginning we are like dating for quite a while, and then because of like there are like other issues happening, some more of it is more of like personal stuff, and then we just transition back to friends. And the moment that we transition back to friends, and I also found that this relationship is kind of feel a little bit rocky for me, and I found that there are a lot of things that I found that I am stuck in this rabbit hole, and I found that I can't even present myself properly, even that I'm in front of the person. Or maybe it's just like I'm having like a lot of like overthinking issues, even when I'm just looking at the Instagram handle name, which is like very, very serious to me. And in order to move on, I decided to like, you know what, I don't think that this friendship is working for me anymore. I actually did contact this person to talk about it. So yeah, this thing actually ended last week. But it kind of feels sad for me because this
mm.
girl is actually she's very smart, she's very kind, but for the sake of my mental health, I believe that this is probably the best way to do so. And because of this, and this is also one of the biggest reasons that why I'm not actively looking for a relationship right now, because like I have like a lot of things I need to realign my goals and my life in general. So there's other stuff that I'm trying to working on. But at the same time, I also trying to connect more people in general. I think it's also considered healthy as well for me. Trying to meet new people and also getting more new experiences. I think it will be the best for me at this point.
That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I believe it's not easy. It's quite a hard topic. Thank you for sharing that. And then, yeah, I'm glad that you found a way that worked for you. And then I definitely hope that you will meet more people. And then, yeah, that is truly a healthy way. I realize that as well. Like I think one of my hardest moment was when my got after getting to know my mom passed away, and then I was like, yeah, just meeting different people, telling different people, like it's really surrounding yourself with your friends, and then they are the best support that you can. So yes, that is really good. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that still. Have you suffered or are you currently suffering quarter life crisis?
Quarterlife crisis, not at the moment right now. Maybe next
Mm.
year, since most people says that the quarter life crisis often occurs at like age 25. I don't know whether it's real or not, but I guess let the time goes. But I think for like quarter life, I think in terms of like quarter time crisis, it's I guess it might be inevitable, especially for us, because
Mm.
because we are just new in the work, we're just new in society, and then there's like a lot of things figuring out. Maybe in some point that you found that you are in an identity crisis. I don't know, but
Mm.
for me, I didn't give too much thought about it lah. For now, it's just like trying to go through every life as its best every day. Like I can have like big plans. I can actually plan like 3 year plans, 4 year plans, 5 year plans, or whatever. But
Mm.
as I previously said, that it actually doesn't work out for me in the case. So right now, I was just wanted to focus like living every single moment to the best, and it might be the way to combat quarter life crisis. But I don't know. That's my perspective about it. I think
I
that's
see.
what works for me as well.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. Yeah, you mentioned like now you have like different goals, long-term goals and all this. So do you have a pursuit in life, like something that you like the ultimate goal? Yeah. Or like in companies, they like to say the North Star of the company.
Eh, I think for now it's like I think this year I did set one goal for myself, which is I think it's not work related, but it's something that I wanted to try on. It's like before age of like 26 or 27, I want to experience a marathon in my life, like a real marathon. I need to run one for myself, but that's currently what I want to work on, like because I understand that you previously ran marathons before, and I believe it really takes a lot of work to run like 40 kilometers. So I think it's something that I need to work on myself on. And I think other than that, I've been trying to focus more on like trying to learn more. I think reading books is like currently the goal that I'm working on as well, because there are like so many topics that I need to dive, like a lot of topics are, whether it's like relationships, inflation, or maybe other parts of self-development. There's so many things that I've been working on, but I think currently I'm just trying to focus on like trying to get myself into a reading habit like for these days. And for the next few months, I think for some point I feel like I want to try something new. I want to seek out new experiences. So I did find some challenges for me, like probably like a 30-day challenge, something that I've been
Whoa.
planning recently. Like next month I'm going to do like 30 days of what maybe it's like taking cold showers every day, or like waking at 5 a.m. every day. Maybe it's like one of that. I Maybe it's like one of that, but not exactly like what I said lah. But I did set some of these challenges. I want to see like how big of an impact of like this certain type of action will actually impact my life. Like previously, I actually did like a 30-day challenge in terms of like trying to manage my screen time. But I found that the flaw of like doing this 30-day challenge is like it's not like very like how to say, it doesn't actually give me more of like a very proper result, but it's more of like uh trying to identify like the habit that I have when I'm on my phone, which is why I
Mm,
created this challenge. But moving forward, I guess I'll be more intentional of like why I want to do these challenges for 1 month, like or 30 days in general. So I think that's basically it for me. At least that
that is
what I
amazing. I
wanted to
love that.
do for it.
I see.
Really?
Okay.
Oh, thank
But yeah,
you.
in terms of the marathon thing, I am very confident that you can do it. I think sometimes like what you said, like being more intentional with what you're doing. I think most people confuse with completing a marathon with doing a marathon at what time. In terms of completing a marathon, you can definitely do it. But definitely, like I would recommend you would still set a time target, but set a reasonable time target. You can definitely do it. Yeah, it's totally possible. Like you can definitely finish a marathon. You can, like, even for me, honestly, my past three marathons, I never fully ran the whole thing because I got cramps like towards the end, and then I was like walking a bit. So like most people will like walk for like parts of the journey. It's like you can definitely finish it. It's more like what time you want to finish, and then definitely don't put a crazy time for yourself because like you just started out. So that is totally possible. Yeah, so I truly I love
Mm.
all these plans that you have set up and all this. So yes, I wish you all the best. What is your most recent struggles?
Struggles, ah. Wow, my recent struggle, ah. Damn. Think my recent struggle is I think it's actually I think it's actually the past relationship that is struggling the most. It's actually struggled me for a like a few months. I think it's like 3 months. Yeah, it's actually struggled me like 3 months, and
Mm,
uh, I never expect it that I can move on because initially I thought that okay, I can move on like very fast. Like I'm very idealistic. Like I can move on like really fast. But holy hell, it's just so painful that yeah, I actually need to go through so many phases of of processing my emotions. Sometimes like they are like super high. Sometimes they are like super low. It's just so difficult, and it's also very uh. Sometimes I feel like a bit guilty when especially when I was like in my lowest, and then I was like projecting negative energy to other people. But I'm very fortunate that the people around me, they actually compromise it, and then they also encourage me to try to allow me to less struggle to struggle less, and also trying to move on in my life. But fortunately that phase is officially over, and I'm very proud that I returned that peace of mind that I've been desiring for for a very long time. Like the peace of mind actually started when it was like the beginning of the year. Like that was the moment that I actually feel like very peaceful. Like I want to do whatever I want, and then I don't need to like worry about anything. But a lot of things has happened, and I'm glad that I reached to that point where I back to square one, and it's just like really amazing, and I truly cherish about it.
that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that again. And I'm happy that you went out of it. I personally went through a breakup earlier this year. So yeah, can totally resonate that. Like it
Mm,
actually, I honestly, it took me like 5 months to kind of get uh yeah, kind of get over it. Yeah. So I
mm,
I get what you mean.
yes.
Yeah. Uh, what is
Yeah.
let's like okay, we talked about the hardest thing, terrible thing. What is the one thing that you love about yourself? Let's go something more positive.
Whoa, all right, Ken. I think the biggest positive that I found myself is I have like very strong self-awareness. Like at least this is what people they when I talk about when I talk with other people, one thing that they actually appreciate about me is like I have very strong self-awareness, in which that sometimes I really self-doubt, like do I really have a do I really have very strong self-awareness? But apparently that all right, fine, maybe I have, and I just admit it that yeah, okay. And I think the second thing is in terms of like uh I wouldn't say I think more of it is like the ability to learn fast. Like initially when it comes to like talking to other people, sometimes like especially female friends when they are talking to a problem to me, like in the past few years, if you ask me if such situation happen, I would just feel really like giving like giving like a solution to them. which obviously won't work because even for male friends as well, and I would say it's not just female friends. I think male friends also work at the same time. It's like when they have something really struggling there, and then you just straight give in like, oh, just do it, just do this, just do that, and then it's just destroy the whole purpose about it. So so what I learned is like I started to learn how to empathize with people. Like even though maybe they are not correct, but I will try to stand by their side and try to understand their feelings. And then if needed to, then I will just give like an advice or something like that. And this is something that I actually appreciate that I managed to learn it, uh get it like to pick it up faster. Yeah, I think learning fast, self-awareness, and also trying to be trying to be more kind to people. I think these three aspects are something that I'm actually very proud of right now. Like not very proud of because there's nothing worth to show off too much as well.
It's
I
not
know
really
I
show off. It's just, I guess you appreciate yourself. I guess we see it like that way. It's not really showing off. It's just like it's something that you really appreciate about yourself, which I think it's really good. Like all those points you pointed out, and then sometimes it's not that you're not good enough in like I don't know people skill. Just people are complicated. Human is complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so
Again, that's the
complicated.
thing.
Sometimes I just wish that I can become a cat and then I just meow and then I just get food, I get shelter, I just get everything.
Yeah, yeah. I totally get what you
That's
mean,
the
but
fun part of it.
I really like what you love about yourself. It's amazing that like in fact I think so like I the previous episode at the previous episode so like the episode that will come up before yours will be a episode which I did a solo episode where I talk about like how London has transformed me, and then I think I talk about this point where it's just really important for us to be thankful of ourselves, like every decision we have made and all this. Like I think like definitely you said that back then you were like you just straight up give solution, but sometimes it not might not be suitable. But I guess it is terrible to look back, but I guess it's worth being thankful of that because that happened, so now you can realize that okay, that is not the better way. Like there is a better way to doing it. Like all the decisions we have made, even though it might not be the best one, but it is part of a journey of being make letting us make a better decision in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree that sometimes when we reach like a certain point of life, it's very important to practice gratitude. Like we kind of achieve something in our lives. And
Hmm?
in terms of like looking back to our past, I think the moment that when you found that what you did in the past, when you found out is like, oh my God, this is so like embarrassing and something like that. Congratulations. This also means that we are in the path on like growing up, and that is like the most fulfilling part.
I love that. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that. I remember I think when I was like doing my YouTube and all that kind of stuff, and then they would always talk about this. If ever one day, if you look back at your video and then you felt cringe, you felt embarrassed about it, it is really good. It means that you have grew so much that you now realize that, oh my God, I'm now better than those videos that I find those videos are so bad. Yeah, definitely it's they are bad, but you don't have to judge yourself so much because of that. They are bad because you were learning, and then now that you're better, you look back, you find that it's bad. It means that you have improved. So I really like that point where you say, think back, you're embarrassed, and then it's actually amazing because you have actually grown up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yes, what's the one question that have I not asked or have you not asked that everyone should ask?
Oh, wow. Dropping that one.
It could be
Okay.
a question for me or like a question that you think I should really ask you.
Hmm. That's a very good question. All right. I think let's start from asking you one specific question because for now, currently you are living. Can I make okay? Before I ask this question, can I? So currently you are living in the entrepreneurial lifestyle right now, right? Can you consider like yourself as you're living it right now, like being an entrepreneur
Mm,
and everything?
not I guess somewhat, but not exactly. As in like, right now I don't really. So like, it's not entrepreneurial because I don't really run a business. So like, even though you can kind of consider this podcast a business, and funnily, I actually just submitted this podcast as a business idea for some event that might be happening on Monday. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get chosen yet. If I get chosen, I'll get an email by end of today.
Mm.
We'll see. Yeah.
Ooh.
But I guess I wouldn't. I would say I'm a content creator, but and I try to be entrepreneurial, but I wouldn't say it's fully entrepreneurial. But yeah. What's your question?
Mm. Okay. Because previously I believe that you actually started a business which is like selling like PC parts, right?
Yes. Yes.
I forgot I forgot the name about it, but I know exactly like what the business is about. So I want to ask is like because you have been in this business for quite some time, and I believe that there's a lot of like ups and downs when running the business. So I think I want to ask is like what is the one piece of advice when it comes to like running a business?
Oh, wow. This
One
is
important advice.
tough. This is
Mm.
tough. This is tough. I think definitely there's like it's really really tough. But I think one advice, I think something that's like even very applicable for me right now is that just reach out to people and learn. There is Starting a business is just so complicated. There's just so many things that you have to like as well. Like even being a freelancer, you have to do your own marketing and then you have to handle your craft and all this. And then you have to obviously manage the finances, make sure that perhaps if you earn money, you will need to pay taxes and all this kind of stuff. So there is a lot of things. And then definitely it's normal that we don't know most of it. Come on, we are just a normal human, man. Yeah, yeah. Even if you find a very smart accountant, they wouldn't know about photography as well. Why would people expect a photographer to know about accounting? So I think it's just really important to reach out to people and learn. Yeah. So like right now I'm in the process of learning as well. I I am hiring an intern actually. So I went through. In fact, like after this podcast, personally, I'm gonna ask you more on that. But yeah, I'm hiring an intern, and then I've actually reached out to different people to learn about the process of hiring an intern, how to best hire an intern, and then even when I kind of I'm connecting to different student groups to hopefully hire an intern through them. I get feedback from them and all that, and then even for my coming stages, like working on this podcast, even I'm working on it, even though I would say that I have 3 years of podcast experience. Right now I'm still learning. Whenever there's people, I would always get their feedback and all that, learn about learn about how I can make this podcast better and all this. So I think generally just reach out to people, like, because the reason why is people, especially people that have went through doing all this stuff, they have the experience, so we should really tap into that knowledge. So yeah, just reach out to them and learn. Yeah, no shame. Yeah, it's okay to
Mm.
say that you don't know and then just learn.
Yeah, I think this is definitely one of the biggest takeaways when it comes to like running a business, and especially currently, like, especially let's say in Malaysia, actually, there's like a lot of people who actually wanted to start businesses more than they wanted to get into a 9 to 5 job, and I believe that this piece of advice will definitely encourage a lot of people when it comes to like starting a business, so they will have like less fear. Can I say less fear? I think less fear. Yeah, having less fear in terms of like actually doing the thing instead of like having imposter syndrome as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, I Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. That's actually a really good question that I believe the audience would really appreciate. So yes, now we are actually
Mm.
reaching the end of the podcast. So I have one final question to you. So I'm happy that I hear that you read books as well. So I always ask this questions to every guest. Actually, okay, started recently only. I think started like from two guests ago. What
Mm.
is your
Okay.
one favorite book that you would recommend and one favorite movie to recommend as well?
Oh, love it. Okay, I love this question. All right. I think for in terms of book wise, I think if you want to get more into like self-development, I will highly suggest go for The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. That was like a very good book and it will definitely helps most of the people in terms of like how helping to build self-confidence as well. And I believe that it is very essential because in this modern age, like there's like a lot of distracting things that kind of get in our way, and sometimes we just give too many fucks. And it's important to try to limit these fucks to other people as well. So yeah, definitely a good book, and it's also like kind of straight to the point because this author kind of just like he doesn't do like a lot of like metaphors and everything. He just goes straight to the point, which I really love it. And then in terms of like movies, actually I didn't have like a favorite movie, but if you want to say like the all-time favorite, I would say I'll go for Parasite. The movie Parasite.
Oh,
That
Parasite.
is
Oh yes. Oh,
current
that is
that is
amazing.
Yeah, Parasite, yeah, it's a South Korea, it's a movie produced in South Korea, and then it's basically talks about like how about the poor and also the wealth, something like that. A bit more about capitalism, but I really love like aside from like the storyline and also the technical aspects, and I also really appreciate like how the director will want the stories to express to the audience like this movie is not like every art every other movie is trying to give like entertainment. It actually has like a very important message to the world, in which I believe not a lot of movies will do it, and thus it definitely stands out a lot and probably win an Oscars award. Yeah, but that's my favorite movie for now.
I see. Thanks a lot for your recommendations and all. So yes, if the audience would like to reach you, what would be the best way?
All right. I would say my Instagram. So my Instagram handle, Damon underscore Yap. But and in terms of like more worky stuff of things, you can reach to my LinkedIn, which is also Damon Yap as well. And yeah, I think these two handles are probably my most active social medias right now. Yeah.
That is amazing. Thank you, Damon, for sharing so much, sharing your journey, your struggles, and then yeah, I really appreciate you being that honest. I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you for coming up here.
Thank you for your podcast too, for giving me an opportunity to voice out as well.
If you enjoyed the podcast, I would really appreciate if you leave us a 5-star review and follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thanks again for listening to Gen Z Journey. We'll see you again next week. Remember to subscribe to get notified as new episodes come out every Thursday, and please share this podcast to anyone you think would enjoy it. This is Andrew Kwan from Gen Z Journey.